What convinced you paranormal activity actually occurs or is real, part 2. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe. When I felt an arm lay on me as I was awake in my dorm, wishing my long-distance fiancé, now husband, was there, made me calm and sleepy. He doesn't remember anything. For him, we were living at his parents' place a few years ago. Important info. I'm a really bad nail biter. He picks his nails short. He had a dream where a demonic woman with claw-like nails lunged at him. In the morning, he woke up and told me. He turned to go unplug his phone off the charger and found deep nail marks on his side. I've had some weird shit happen there that could have been explained as me dreaming or my poor vision without glasses. We've not sensed anything since we moved, even after 3 apartments. I told my friend once that I used to smoke so much weed that I convinced myself for 3 months that I needed an exorcism. It's a long story of withdrawal symptoms and other substances resulting in mild psychosis, and I told her about how it was a long road to get back to normal. Anyway, while I'm complaining about my selfish drug abuse bullshit, she's like, "Okay man, I'm gonna tell you a story," and proceeds to tell me about how when she was about 10, her dad was working over in Southeast Asia with his brother-in-law. Apparently, they had a falling out, and this dude curses her dad. He gets all effed up mentally, comes back to Australia to his family, his wife, my friend, and her 2 younger siblings, and everyone in the family can tell something is up with him. Haunting, night terrors, etc. They decide to exorcise him because shit is getting out of control. She tells me about her huddling in her bedroom while they're doing the exorcism with her younger siblings and the mom coming in to comfort them. All the voices coming from her dad. She ends up walking in when she's not supposed to, seeing her dad's face looking like a demon. All the time she's telling me this, she's like, "I don't give an F if you don't believe me. This is what happened. We can't explain it." Anyway, she goes into more details, then tells me he's fairly okay now. Every now and again he has episodes where he just needs to be on his own for a bit because he sees certain things, but she reckons he will be somewhat cursed and tormented by whatever demons are following him for the rest of his life. Anyway, the way she told me her story and her conviction was enough to get me over the line. My mother used to babysit some kids who lived in a trailer next to their house. The story was the house was haunted and they couldn't take it. Furniture would constantly rearrange itself when they left apparently. My mom said she could hear groaning and noises, bangs and shit all night from the house while in the trailer. I wonder if she knows more to the story, as she told me it was years ago. At my previous job, I watched a shadowy figure walk into my dock area. I went to check who it was and no one was there. Dock doors were all padlocked and the emergency door alarm didn't go off. I should have checked the cameras. Didn't think about it. I always sort of believed in the paranormal, but was never totally sure until the first and only time so far that I actually saw something about a year ago. I was dead asleep in my bedroom and had been for a while, as I had work at 7 a.m. the next day. Note that I was sleeping on my left side, with my back facing the wall and my face and body facing the room. I remember being in a dream. I can't recall what exactly I was dreaming though. I just know that unconscious me was invested in the events of the dream. Suddenly, my dreaming was abruptly interrupted like I've never experienced before. There was no sound or movement that woke me. My eyes just opened, and it caught me off guard as that's never happened to me mid-dream before. Anyways, so my eyes randomly opened mid-sleep. The furniture and familiar shapes in my bedroom came into focus, and so did a pitch-black, darker than night figure. It was standing right by my bed, as if watching me. The figure had a kind of material-looking silhouette, wide hips, stout. The head seemed to have short hair, or maybe tied back, hard to tell. My brain came to a few conclusions in rapid succession. My first thought was pure confusion, and I assumed that maybe I was experiencing sleep paralysis. I've experienced it before, but never seen figures, only felt frustrated. So, I sat up on my elbow and moved my legs, no sleep paralysis. My next thought was that I was somehow imagining it. I blinked, fully expecting the figure to disappear. It did not. I rubbed my eyes, same result. Then, I started to feel a bit worried. I thought it might be my mom, but I just knew it wasn't. Then I worried it was an intruder. All while I'm thinking this stuff, I'm just staring at it, trying to comprehend. After about 30 seconds of staring and thinking, I sat up fully and just said, "Hello?" At it, silence. "Hello?" Then I extended my right arm, intending to touch it to see if the figure was a solid person or some kind of sleep fog. The figure took a step back to avoid my arm entirely, then it dissolved into nothing. I picked up my phone, and the time said 3:01 a.m. Still have no idea what that was. I've come to think it had something to do with the witching hour. It has never come back though, and its presence didn't feel particularly frightening or welcoming, just strange. 2 quick incidents. 1. Saw a guy in blue jeans, jean jacket in the corner of my eye. Turned to say hello and no one was there. 2. Staying in a motel late at night, early a.m. I woke up to the bathtub faucet running on full blast. I was too groggy to be creeped out. Turned it off, noticed it had turned hard, so maybe it wasn't from the water pressure. I don't know. I laid back down and mumbled, "Do that again." It didn't happen again. When you're getting ready to sleep at night and there's like those random clicks and tapping noises that tend to get louder if you ignore them, I've been paralyzed with fear before entering certain rooms, twice that I can recall, and once of an entire house. I developed years-long daymares, nightmares but while awake, and staying at said house. I'd see the monsters in broad daylight looking back at me. As a kid, that was hell on earth since no adults saw them, of course. And, certainly not the least of things, those damn marble sounds on my ceiling at night. I have this effing lamp screen. Looks like a shadow opaque bowl that keeps falling and hitting me in the head when I'm in the bathroom. It never happens when I'm not there, but sometimes it just bonks me without warning. It's also screwed on like a jar lid, so I have no clue how it loosens itself. I'm convinced my toilet is haunted. My house. There are so many things, and my friends and family can back me up. My husband and I bought this house because it's cute and close to his work. I came home early one morning and he met me in the kitchen. I watched him pick up his coffee from the table and put down his new pocket knife my dad bought him, and I remember he closed it because it made a cool click noise when it closed. So I'm walking through the living room now, and I feel something hit the back of my leg. His pocket knife was open and laying behind me. We were a solid 10 feet away from the table, so there's no way one of us bumped it, and this was before we had our cat, so it wasn't him. Then my husband had intense nightmares for months about our house and seeing pentagrams burned into the floor and all these weird signs. At one point, dead asleep, he sat straight up in bed, shook my leg and pointed to the corner of the room with literal tears streaming down his face and kept whispering, she's here and wants to kill me," over and over. No memory of it the next morning. I said my nighttime prayers. Then I had a dream where the large black mass was holding me down and mocking me, repeating my prayers back, then screamed in my face that none of that mattered because he was going to kill me. Our cabinets would slam open, and we heard this super loud growl every night for a week. I saw 3 kids, one with a bowl cut and like 8 years old. He never scared me. He would just walk around and wave. Then there was the younger girl who had wet hair like she just took a shower and hid in the closet with a big t-shirt on. Then there was an older boy, but I only saw him once, and he was in my office and gave me a dirty look when I came in, so I just left. My husband said he saw a big man walking around sometimes. There was also a gray shadow and a misty white shadow. The misty one always made me feel so calm, and we dubbed her as the mom because she never scared us. The night of our rehearsal dinner, our pastor came to our house because we were having a bonfire, but he refused to come inside, would just walk to us through the door. One of us, friends, stayed the night and woke up in the 3 huge scratches down his back, and again, this was before we got our cat. My sister-in-law and her boyfriend came to take care of my plants while we were on vacation, and she tried to open the door and the handle hit her hand, and she said she saw someone inside, but she ended up just running away. My plants died. Then there's the usual hearing our names and no one being home, knocking on doors, bruises, scratching. But the weirdest part was my husband and I would be home and so desperate to leave that we would come up with any reason to be out of the house. But when we left, we got genuinely depressed. I've never been so low in my life, and we fought constantly. There's more, but this is too long, and I'm getting upset. The only thing that made it stop was when my husband got drunk and we saw the gray shadow in the living room and he screamed at it and started praying. We drew some crosses up on our chalkboard wall, and we haven't had anything since. I live in a haunted house. As a kid, I had one of those sliding door closets, and things used to stare at me from my closet when I would sleep. I would wake up and see my closet open and a couple of pairs of eyes watching me, but I always told my younger self it was my imagination. Until one day, I had a sleepover with my cousin. Well, my mom had just bought me and my brother bunk beds and put it next to the closet. I was sleeping on the top bunk, and my cousin and little brother were on the bottom. It was the middle of the night, and I always close the closet door before I go to sleep. Well, I woke up and was trying to get comfortable to go back to sleep when I heard the closet door open. I should explain, it was an older sliding door, so it squeaks when you open and close it. So I heard the squeaks and turned to look at the closet and saw this big and gnarled hand with long nails slowly come out of the closet, slowly reaching towards me. I just closed my eyes and told myself, "It's not real. It's not real." Then I hear my cousin from the bottom bunk say, "Hey, cousin." And I said, "Yeah?" He said, "Do you see that hand coming out of the closet?" That's when I knew it was real and jumped down to the bottom bunk, and me and my cousin started screaming bloody murder for my mom as she came running in, turning on the light, and we saw the arm turn into a sweater sleeve and drop down back into the closet. Needless to say, me and my cousin still reminisce about the night every time we get together. In college, I slept on an air mattress. My roommates all had weird experiences at one point or another, feeling a presence, seeing a disembodied shadow, and hearing unexplained voices. I had weird stuff happen too, but saw myself as a scientist who can entertain this stuff without believing it. I still do. Anyway, at least every 2 months or so, I would be woken from a deep sleep by my bed being kicked, sometimes with disembodied whispers accompanying the kicks, gentle at first, but gradually getting stronger the more I stirred. We lived in an area not geologically active, so it wasn't likely to be tremors or earthquakes. I checked after the first few times. The last time was right in the middle of finals, and I was stressed AF. I tried to tell myself I was just imagining it, but you know that point where you say, well, shit, now I'm awake. I was there, and the bed kept getting kicked. I didn't want to look. I wanted to know I was awake, and it was happening. After a good 45 seconds to a minute, I was less scared than pissed. Who is this jerk to think they can mess with my sweet blow-up bed? So I just sternly said, "Hey, I'm awake now. How about you knock off this effing off because I have shit to do in the morning?" One last weak kick, and it stopped. I've had other weird experiences away from that house, both before and after that, but that's the one time that felt the most like I was having a true interaction with something I can't explain away. That, and the time the ghost of a beheaded prostitute from the 1920s slammed a heavy door in my face in an abandoned hotel. Yeah. Years ago, I had some kind of sleep paralysis in which I felt I was being watched by someone not human. I don't know how to explain it, but I felt like someone or something was standing right next to my bed and just staring at me. When I was able to open my eyes, everything was normal and I was alone in my room, but it was still really weird. It never happened again though. I'm a Christian, and there's a few verses in the Bible that talk about how when the rapture happens, all the deceased will ascend first. So, if the dead people are still on earth, and many people in my life claim to have had ghostly happenings, it kind of just makes sense to me. I'm in the category of I don't know because I've never had an experience, but I also don't care either way. Maybe that's why ghosts don't bother me.